Yeah, I'm actually scared of things going up my butthole, but thank you.
Terrified.
Your wardrobe screams fatherless.
You have more trust in that top Zypin people.
How was your relationship with your father? Just saying, why did you get the attention you wanted?
You need Jesus. That's offensive. All right. Hello, everyone. It is Daddy Deelz back in the building with That's Offensive. I have someone special here. Her nickname is Sugar Tits that I made up today, but more people know her as AC Pen.
Yeah.
But I do just want to talk about your tits a little bit.
All right.
Because they're just great. So how did you grow such great pair?
Well, these are not organic. So I bought these, but I have a really great doctor
who retired, unfortunately.
I know. And it's so funny too, because before I started doing OnlyFans, I mean, I wasn't like advertising my breasts, and no one really like had an idea of what they looked like. But then when I got into OnlyFans, it was right around 2020, so the pandemic was like full throttle, and my tits were all of a sudden everywhere. And so I got a lot of inquiries about my boobs and who did them, and the pandemic took my physician. He didn't die. He just retired. He said, peace out. So,
yeah. Do you find it weird that I fantasize about your boobs and wish I had them almost every day?
No, you have a group. You guys should start a club.
I was talking about Allie with one of our other friends, and Allie was like, well, what were you guys talking about? And I was like, your boobs.
Yeah.
It's a big topic of conversation among me and my friends.
They're big. So.
They're voluptuous, and you got an ass to match. It's just
it's okay. I don't mind being objectified by you guys. It's cool. I'll allow it.
You allow it. So talk about your little fetish you told me about.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so I don't know why. I have this. I really don't. And I feel like it's completely probably from porn, but I just have this really sick fantasy where I envision myself being like in a schoolgirl costume or outfit, or I'm literally a schoolgirl and I'm being bent over on a desk. And that's just so hot to me. I don't know why. It's disgusting. I'm ashamed.
Do you have videos like that on OnlyFans?
I've done the schoolgirl stuff before, but it just feels too real.
Yeah.
It feels too real. I get a little too into it.
So do you only like to be in like the submissive position, or if I like walked up to you in a schoolgirl outfit, would you have an urge to bend me over?
See, like, I never envision myself from the teacher perspective. I'm always envisioning myself from
the student,
the submissive part.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe if I like got into character, and then I could unlock some other fetish of mine.
Did you have any hot teachers growing up that you were like, oh, this is where maybe the fantasy came from?
Honestly, no. I did go to Sunday school though, and I did have one kind of like hot pastor. So I don't know, maybe that's where it came from. I don't know. I don't know if I want to know.
It's just like a deep feel, like you just want to be dominated with like a power dynamic kind of thing.
I couldn't tell you what it is, but I think just
I mean, I like to be slapped during sex, and I don't know where the fuck that comes from, so I feel you there.
You know, whatever. I don't know how we find these things out, but
I don't
either. It just is hot to me. And like the feelings, they come up. They come up when I'm being presented with that kink. So yeah.
Is that like the craziest sexual thing you've done? Have you ever actually like fucked at a school with an outfit on?
I've never had sex in a high school or school, like when I was going to school.
What like college? Did you go to college?
I did. I went to college for a little bit. Everyone was having sex, so
yeah. Everyone was a huge whore.
I would say my most like I guess kind of where you're going with that. I did have sex on a like a Christian retreat.
Wow.
So, yeah, and it was like our beach day.
Uh-huh.
So my boyfriend and I at the time we had public sex.
How did you get away with that on a beach?
You know, beach towels and just pretending you're just cuddling, I guess, you know.
Okay, so like just as a visual, was your like back towards him kind of thing, or was
No, we were on top of each other. But ask questions. I'm really good at flying under the radar, so
I'm so curious because I feel like if I ever did something like that, I would just be like, I'm a very obvious person, and people would be like, Adelia, like everyone can see you.
I don't know. I guess I just have the sneaky gene. I'm good at being sneaky.
Yeah, you are a Virgo, and Virgos are a lot more low key than
Virgos.
Huh?
Here comes the Virgo slander.
The Virgo slander.
I guess you can relate to that though, because you're a Gemini, right?
Yeah, I'm a Gemini,
Yeah.
but my moon is a Virgo, so I understand.
Oh, okay.
A little bit. I have some parts of me. So you grew up like in the Christian world. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, my parents weren't super like religious, as not so much to where they were like pushing me to be religious. But my family was split up. My parents are separated, and the family down the street from my mom's house, they were very religious, and they had children who were in my age group.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a really solid family unit. And, you know, coming from a very different standpoint in my family, I idolized that. I wanted that. So I hung out with their family a lot, and their dad was what do you call it? Learning to how to be ordained and like how to be a pastor in the church. Okay. And so a lot of things we did were revolved around religion, and I just kind of took it from there. And I liked going to church. I liked being a part of, you know, the trips and, you know, giving back, and I liked a lot of the things I learned about it. It wasn't until I got a bit older where that relationship with the church kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
So,
how did it fizzle out?
I was super involved. As a kid all the way up to high school. I mean, every summer I did something where I dedicated at least half of my summer to, you know, volunteer work that was with the church or my youth group. And then I got to college, and as most people do, you discover more about yourself. That's really the main course of what you're studying when you first get to school. And I think getting a Greek life kind of helped me understand, like, my relationship with God was different than other people, and it just kind of, a lot of it felt really judgmental towards other people.
Yeah.
And not so much focused on your personal relationship with God. It was more like people were using religion and Christianity to kind of keep score on each other.
Yeah.
And I really didn't like that. So, and those are the kind of people that you would find at most churches, at least in my experience. There's definitely places out there who have probably great people, but
you know what's funny is it was someone from my church who subscribed to my OnlyFans to then tell my father. It was someone in the church.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But they had to subscribe to then find out what content I was doing, to then text him, hey, your daughter's a whore. This is what they're doing.
What would Jesus do, right? So
definitely not that. So how do you think like Christianity has changed over the years, and like why it kind of spouts hatred now versus, I mean, I feel like the original concept of Christianity was to be like loving and accepting, and now so many people use it as an excuse to be hatred, to be hating on different groups of people. like,
Yeah.
you know, gay people, which I don't even think was originally in the Bible, that gay people were sinning, or trans people. There's so many excuses to hate on marginalized groups.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't give you a straightforward answer, but if I were to guess, I would say that most people that are still very indoctrinated in Christianity have a lot of unresolved insecurities and things that they hate about themselves, and they they give this like blind loyalty to God and to the
Mm-hmm.
church, and they're not really working on loving themselves, because I mean, really and truly, the concept of Christianity is that, you know, God loves all his children and we should love them all too, just as
Mm-hmm.
much as he does. But I think people hate themselves deep down, and they need to find reasons to hate other people more.
Yeah.
And that, and also kind of just like, you know, just it's human behavior, how like we're scared if someone's better than me at something, then, you know, I'm not the best anymore. So I what am I good at? You know,
Mm-hmm.
what's my thing? So it's like, I do see a lot in Christianity and kind of those those groups that people keep score because they want to convince themselves that they are definitely going to heaven and they are
Mm-hmm.
definitely going to be rewarded of all of these things that, you know, they've been such a devout Christian. So they have to they have to point out everyone else's flaws.
They're like, I am such a devout Christian. I just egged a gay person's house, and that's going to show them how to be a better Christian.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
What's that phrase? Nothing like Christian love.
yeah. So something that you have brought up to me that I have never heard before you was spiritual narcissism.
Mhm.
So I think spirituality can be Christianity, or it can be getting more involved with your higher self, or, you know,
Totally.
spirituality has like a really wide range of things, but people use that to kind of nourish their narcissism.
Yeah, no, I mean, like if you look, okay, let's give a one-on-one on white culture right here, okay? If you look at the church and you look at a cult, a lot of those two things, they have similarities.
Mm-hmm.
Just by how they recruit people, how they get people indoctrinated to the scripture or the rules of that religion or that cult. And people, when they think cults, they think, oh, you know, what's his name, Charles Manson, you know, something crazy. But you see cults even today. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
people make cults all the time. You see people who are like, oh, you know what, I opened my third eye, and it's like they're not really doing that. They're just kind of like swinging their dick around and not taking a shower and like
think they found enlightenment, or are now one with nature.
Yeah. I mean, spiritual narcissism is a real thing, and I'm in Austin, and I see a lot of people who do this, and it can be frustrating. There's a lot of trauma bonding involved, um, a lot of blind loyalty to something other than yourself. You know, people like to like blind loyalty to like divine entities and guides um and I'm not saying that this stuff is wrong. I just think some people take advantage of it to get people vulnerable and trauma bond with them, and it can you the intentions of some people are bad. Like I've seen people, you know, use things that are good and should be more understood, but they use things like, you know, polyamory or polygamy, and they use those things in spiritual narcissism. Oh my gosh, it's a hard word.
So how do you think that they're using it in like spiritual narcissism? Like, what are they specifically doing that is...
I mean, like, I've heard of people going as far as to get women to do ayahuasca and peyote in order to break down their personal boundaries for, you know, as far as monogamy goes. And that sounds to me like brainwashing or manipulation. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, having to put someone already in a really vulnerable in very impressionable place, you're under the influence of something, and then installing ideas into that person while they're in that place instead of allowing that person to come to those ideals on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that like kind of weird.
Definitely. Because let's just say, I mean, I've never done ayahuasca, but I've done obviously shrooms a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone just started poking ideas at me while I'm under the influence of mushrooms,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually I would think it was my own idea,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would start doing those things. I'm never in a relationship, but let's just say I was in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and then I started being oh yeah, maybe we can do an open relationship, but then I realized it's not my decision, or it wasn't my idea in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel extremely violated.
I mean, yeah, it's manipulation. I'd go as far to say as it's hypnosis almost,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I see that a lot, and it's unfortunate because some people, really do good things with a lot of those things. There is good people who, perform really safe ayahuasca ceremonies. And
Yeah.
there is people who do, practice spirituality and enlightenment and, being a good person and just being more connected to the world.
Mhm.
But I feel like there is on the other side of that coin, people use it and take advantage of those things, just like in the church,
Yeah.
to push their own narrative, push their own selfish wants and desires.
Mm-hmm. And something that's kind of the negative side of religion and spirituality is sometimes how it forces you to not respect boundaries.
100%. I mean, yeah. I mean, you have to let people process and open up on their own time.
Mhm.
And that is hard for an impatient person. And that's hard for someone, especially someone who wants you to become vulnerable to them.
Yeah.
In the church, there's a lot of trauma bonding that goes on in these classes and
Yeah.
in retreats. And
Mhm.
one of the first things that they want to get out of you is what happened to you and what are your secrets, and tell me so I can have that in my pocket.
Yeah.
But they disguise it as, bonding, and it can be
Mhm.
bonding, I'm sure, but not everyone has the best intentions, and people can use that information against you.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think, I grew up very Christian, and you are taught as I think one of the commandments, you need to respect your parents.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of parents therefore use that as an excuse to not respect their kids' boundaries
Mm-hmm.
and to tell their kids that I'm the parent, I know better than you.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of these kids grow up kind of broken, being well, nothing I feel matters. I'm just honestly saying this because this is exactly what happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm well, my feelings aren't really valid. My boundaries aren't really valid. And then it was hard for me to even respect other people's boundaries because I couldn't even hold my own.
Right. Yeah.
And
No,
I think that
totally.
happens not only just with Christianity, but a lot of places that are just I know so much more than you. I have
Mhm.
traveled the world. I have done all of these things. I have reached enlightenment. So
Mhm.
I know so much that your boundaries, you can just step them aside because I know more.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's exactly how it can come off on a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm not a religious person. Wouldn't even say I'm so much as spiritual.
Mhm.
I think I'm more science oriented, and I definitely believe in therapy.
Yeah.
But I've just too much trauma has gone with the whole religious
Yeah.
religious things. So yeah, not really my cup of tea.
Mhm.
No hate on it if that is, and I hope that if it is your thing, it works for you and you feel great about it.
And you just are kind to people and don't
Yeah.
impose.
Yeah.
So you're from Texas, or not from, but you live in Texas.
I do. Yeah, well, I am from Texas.
Oh, you are from Texas?
Born and
Okay.
raised in Houston. I live in Austin, Texas now.
Mm-hmm.
So
So let's talk about some of the things going on in Texas.
Okay.
I think the first one we need to address, because we are sex workers, we are certified whores. When did this whole bill get passed in Texas that you can't own, is it more than 6 sex toys?
Oh my gosh, that was so ridiculous.
Or is it 6
for the
dildos?
record, I don't have more than 6. Yeah, so there is a law in Texas. This is so stupid. And there is a lot of criminals on the loose. But there's a law in Texas that you cannot own over 6 sexual toys. And I mean,
was that law made in like the 1980s? Like, who thought that that was a good idea to make for, like, is this a man?
my question is, why 6?
What
What is significant to the number of 6? Did y'all like get to 7? You're like, no, too many. What?
Maybe they just didn't want, like, maybe like he was subconsciously like, whoever made the bill, like his dick was 6 inches long. And he's like, once it hits 7, that's hurting my ego. So I can't.
This is getting deep.
I can't let it be 7. But I'm just wondering, like, whoever made this bill, like, was he just never able to like satisfy whatever woman he was with for a really long time? And in his head, he's like, these sex toys are stopping her from having sex with me, or these sex toys make me feel like I'm not good at sex. Like, what would prompt someone to do this?
You know, I like your theory a lot.
The 6 inches.
Yeah, that's some dark shit, and that person sounds really sad, and I like that idea. But I think it might have more so to do with just all of the shame built around sex positive things. So if you have more than 6 toys in your house, I mean, are you running a brothel? I feel like that's more of where that came from.
You're running a brothel.
Like how many women in your house
you
do you
know
need?
What another theory could be? Because, you know, Texas, the politicians there are pretty homophobic. They've made that pretty clear. What if in their head they're like, you know who uses a lot of sex toys? Lesbians. Because lesbians, you know, they use strap-ons. I'm bi, I use strap-ons.
Yeah,
and
but, you know,
maybe they're like, we just want to discourage the like lesbian community from having sex by limiting the sex toys.
I mean, that's a really good probably guess. I mean,
yeah,
I couldn't tell you why it came into fruition. I have no idea. I just know it's ridiculous. But I mean, those are both pretty good guesses. But lesbians aren't the only ones using dildos. I mean, there's plenty of men out there, and don't act like there isn't. There's plenty of men out there who actually do like getting a dildo up there.
Do you and your boyfriend?
No, that's not his thing.
Okay.
I'm totally open to it, but he's gonna laugh when he sees this.
He's gonna be like, Allie, I thought we said we were gonna keep this private.
No, he's not shy at all. He is not shy. He's gonna laugh his ass off though. He's not really into that. I've put it on the table and I've been like, hey, like, I love you, you know, this is something you're into. He's like, I'm actually really not.
Yeah, I'm actually scared of things going up my butthole, but thank you.
Terrified of it. He's so scared of it. But I think he honestly loves me so much too. He would try it just so I could get it out of my system.
Yeah. Well, I've just seen the way he interacts with you, and I've never seen a man like, I mean, maybe just like, you and him in my head are just so significant because the things he'll like do for you, the little cute things, like even to your friends, he's like so nice to, and will do little like, what can I get you a drink downstairs? Like, I brought coconuts upstairs for you guys. And I'm like, he just goes so above and beyond. It's awesome.
He really does. He's a top tier human being. He really is. I got real lucky. I think we both got real lucky just finding each other because I really do truly believe that we are better people since finding each other.
Yeah.
So
how did your relationship start with him? Because I know it started off a little rocky.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily like rocky. It was just, you know, we were in that really fundamental stage at the beginning of our relationship.
Yeah.
And also our lives were in a completely different place. I mean, I if you asked me at the beginning of our relationship, I'd be sitting here on a podcast with you talking about how we're sex workers. I would laugh.
Because you weren't a sex worker when you met him.
No, I was not. It's hot.
Wow. Does this make you want to fuck me?
Yeah.
Later, baby. Keep it in your pants right now.
Hold your promises. Keep your promises. No take backs. So yeah, no, I was not a sex worker. But I was getting like close to what people would probably. I definitely was assumed to be a sex worker for what I was doing before.
What were you doing?
Okay. Well, I had 3 jobs. I worked my ass off. I was. By day, I was at the front desk of a real estate office, and I worked for all of these very eccentric realtors in Austin, and I did basically anything they wanted me to do. And then also by day, I was a PA for a guy who was well-versed in the crypto society, so I would plan his trips and all that stuff. I mean, flights, hotels, dinners, taxis, everything. And then by night, I was a bottle girl at a nightclub in Austin, and it was busy every time I worked. So, I mean, I would maybe get like 4 hours of sleep most nights, and I was happy with that.
Wow.
I was so skinny too because I was on my feet all the time.
Yeah.
And I barely had any time to eat. But I mean, even when I was back to what I was saying, when I was confused as a sex worker,
It's because of the bottle girl thing.
yes, people would come in and assume that I came with the bottle.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Did you get like groped a lot in the club?
Yes, I did, and it was disgusting. And it was not just by men, by the way. Sometimes, actually, more often than not, it would be by women. And it really, I don't know how, as a woman, you can do that to another.
As a bottle girl, did you feel like the managers at the club and the security at the club had your back when things like that would happen? Or did they just kind of brush it off?
No, totally. They did.
Okay.
I loved the people I worked with, even when they were hard to work with, because some of them were. But, no, but I mean, I had a family there. I worked with them for years. And they were really supportive. And I mean, we're the money makers of that whole establishment. I mean, no offense, but like, I mean, if you take the girls who are wearing lingerie and heels out of the equation, I don't know how many bottles you're gonna sell. So.
It's crazy because I've noticed a lot of the clubs in LA, and I just don't think clubs in LA are very fun. But a lot of them, at least like I used to go a lot when I was like anywhere from 17 to like in my 20s. And then once I hit 21, I'm like, this shit sucks. But I noticed there weren't slutty girls in like lingerie and like really dolled up, and like I just didn't see a lot of that. And I'm like, I think this is why these establishments are so dead and full of underage girls.
Probably.
Because the ones I've gone to, like in Arizona at least, were like those beautiful bottle girls. Like they're really strict about the 21 plus. They never have to try to get a crowd. It just comes.
It's crazy, the power
of hot fucking girls, because it's kind of like cheaper strippers that
totally
just don't show their tits.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, like some, just because they're dressed a certain way does not mean that those girls aren't classy girls.
Oh, they're very classy.
I worked with some who are real classy women, but I've also worked with some who do confuse what the job description is, and honestly that would make me upset, because sometimes girls would kind of
suck dick on weekends
no, just like sleep with clients. That's what you call someone who is a reoccurring person that comes and spends so many thousands of dollars on a bottle with you, because we make commission and we make tips. So they'll sleep with their clients to keep them returning, and that's your prerogative, what you want to do. But then they tell their friends that, and then their friends look at us like they can do that with us too. Yeah. And that I didn't like. So
yeah, that'd be an awkward.
It's just awkward conversation. It's just not necessary. It's not what the job is. So.
Yeah. So how did you and Colin meet?
Colin slid right into my DMs. He slid right in there. Well, it's kind of funny because, well, 5 years before he did slide into my DMs, I actually walked into a bar with a group of my friends, and I was chatting with his brother, and I know.
Wow.
Well, not like that. Not like that.
Oh, okay. I was like, what a turn of events.
We were a group of girls. No, not like that. We were a group of girls talking to him, and I think maybe he had one more friend with him, and he actually said to me, "You should meet my brother. You should meet my brother." I guess because Colin was dating some girl that his brother didn't necessarily favor at the time, and Colin, being just the sweet, loyal guy he is, didn't even want to walk over to us because he knew what his brother was doing. So I remember this vividly. I really do. We were in the bar, and he his brother turns around to the bar and points to his brother, and Colin had dreads at the time, or just raggedy long hair. He's a little river rat. And, he just turned around because he was like, "Colin, say hi." And I was like, not going over there. I know what you're doing. And yeah, and that was, I guess, for me, the first time I discovered who Colin was. And then 5 years pass. I go through so many failed relationships. So does he. And then I move back to Austin, and I complain about the dating pool there because it's trash.
Is it? Is it worse than LA? Because LA is pretty bad.
I mean, yeah, Austin takes LA rejects, so.
Oh. Fair enough. Yeah. I'm not really lost, but fair enough.
So I complained about it, and then he responded to my meme I was using to make fun of the situation and asked me on a date. And
wow.
Yeah, and it's funny too because we actually both went into this date thinking, one, that both of us were gonna be assholes. He thought I was gonna be a total bitch. Most people think I'm a bitch before they meet me.
It's your resting bitch face. You just show the camera exactly what we're talking about.
So they can know,
Yeah.
I'm not a bitch. I'm just tired.
It's your Virgo.
But we both thought we were both going to be assholes, and I was so ready for a rebound. So I was like, you know what? This guy looks like he's going to be a total douche, and he's totally full of himself. He's a really gorgeous guy. And so I'm just gonna go on this date and have a rebound and just say fuck love. And we couldn't stop smiling the entire time. We just it's pretty cheesy, but it's true.
So then how did the relationship go after that? Because they're just let me know how it went.
So we were figuring out what we wanted to do with our lives, and we both kind of had, an identity crisis a little bit, I mean, he's moving one way, I'm moving another, and I guess some insecurities come into play when you don't know where your life's going and something really good's in front of you, and you have to ask yourself, do you deserve it? Do I deserve love? Do I deserve a person who is really good for me? Who, do I want to commit to that and actually show up to it? Because it is a commitment. Even when it's perfect, you still have to.
It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of time. Even friendships are a lot of time and energy.
Yeah. So we had, a one little month where we split up, and, that was really hard. But we came back together, and I don't know. It's just it's just been awesome. So I'm really happy.
Yay. Something I wanted to ask, because you are in such a happy relationship and you're also in the OnlyFans world. I've heard some people say that they don't think monogamy is possible in OnlyFans, and I just wanted to see what your opinion of it is, being in a relationship.
Yeah. I guess what your version of monogamy is. Are you ethically monogamous? Are you ethically non-monogamous? So I think that there's a place for everyone in the OnlyFans atmosphere. I don't think anyone should be written off from participating in it.
Absolutely not. I actually know a lot of girls in the OnlyFans world who don't even show their tits and make more money than I do.
Yeah. But I guess it really comes down to what you guys decide you're comfortable with, like as a couple, as a unit.
Yeah.
And if one person wants something else, then it's not gonna work. Like, and it won't just not work with OnlyFans. It's not gonna work
In general.
for your whole life.
But having those conversations off the bat and like really considering it is, I just think, something that's so important. Because if someone came to me saying that they could only see us being in like a monogamous relationship, and they consider me hooking up with other women, although I'm not like romantically invested in them, non-monogamous, then like I wouldn't be able to be in that relationship.
Yeah.
But that's just off the bat something to have a conversation about, and just like knowing what you want going into the relationship, so you know kind of what you'll put up with.
Yeah, I mean, Colin and I are in a ethically non-monogamous relationship, whatever. I don't like the terminology.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert. But that basically means we just don't have sex with people without each other. And I mean, that's what works for us. And that's what works for us right now. And that might change. Sexuality is fluid. Life's fluid. But like, if you are in a monogamous relationship and you don't want to be, then
get out.
Don't be in it.
Or just have that kind of conversation.
Yeah. Or if you're in a non-monogamous relationship and you would rather be in a monogamous relationship, don't be in that non-monogamous relationship.
Yeah.
Like,
truthfully, there have been guys who I have dated and I can't even call them like actual exes, because I'd be too scared to be like, I do not want you hooking up with other people. Like, I would just be so scared to have that conversation, but then I wasn't getting what I wanted out of it, and they were getting everything they wanted out of it, and it was so draining. You can't be scared to have those kinds of conversations.
No.
But I was like also 19, 20 at the time, so, you know, shit happens.
Yeah.
Shit's a little different.
Yeah. Me at 19. Person's scary.
So tell me a little bit about your experience being in the OnlyFans space. Since I know we've I know we both had kind of similar experiences and just feeling, I mean, there have been people who have exploited both of us, who have, you know, it's very hard to figure out who you can trust, and it kind of bleeds over to a lot of other areas in life. So I just thought we could talk about like how lonely it could be being in the OnlyFans space.
Yeah, I don't necessarily feel lonely, but I can understand why a lot of people do, because it is a cluster from the entertainment industry. And the entertainment industry, whether it's Hollywood or sex work or blogging or podcasts, everyone's really cutthroat and comparing each other, and scared to support one another, scared to help one another, because everyone's so fearful of doing less than the person next to them, or not being as good as the person that they compare themselves to. And yeah, I just don't feel lonely. I think I more so, if anything, feel paranoid about people's intentions, which is normal because
we have found out person after person.
Yeah, you know, there's not a lot of really good people. People take advantage of people in our industry, and it's just something that unfortunately we have to deal with right now. We can do so much, but there's just so many people that have power in our industry who have lots of money. And I mean, why people do OnlyFans? They want to do it to provide for themselves. You know, this is a fucking cash cow. I mean, that's why it's so popular, you know? So when you wave money in people's faces, people are very impressionable and easy to be influenced. And yeah, I wouldn't say lonely. I would just say more cautious.
Yeah.
So my circle is small.
OnlyFans, man.
Yeah.
But I will say the industry is changing a lot, where I don't think OnlyFans is the cash cow that it used to be. So people getting excited and trying to jump on the train now aren't seeing the success that people saw a year ago. Like, I am having to work double as hard as I did a year ago to be making the same amount of money.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, but I'm finally getting back up there. But I'm like, it takes every single day of my life.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, it's becoming more popular, more saturated. It's way more accepted, way more understood. I mean, I feel like when I just got into OnlyFans, there was an immediate reaction whenever I told someone that they were assuming that I was just straight up starting doing porn.
Oh, yeah.
And that wasn't the case, at least for me. But also in general, OnlyFans, there's so much more to it. And I think people have a better understanding of that. You really can go on there and do whatever. Well, not whatever, as long as it's not against the community guidelines.
Oh, yeah.
But you really can do other things except like other than explicit content. So I feel like, yeah, more people are jumping on the ship and taking advantage of the super user-friendly platform. And it's instantaneous. I mean, you can put money into your account whenever, you know, like you don't have to wait for a paycheck like you would at a 9-to-5. You don't have to wait by the end of the month. Like you literally go on the next day, and if you have over $25 in your earnings, you can put that right into your bank account.
Like every single day you can cash out.
Yeah, and that's really nice.
It's pretty sick.
So it's a really nice hub, and I honestly really appreciate OnlyFans for what they've done. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
A godsend. Yay!
Back to the ethical non-monogamy, because I had a question, because this was something I was thinking about in my head. I'm like, so for me, for example, I feel very sexually attracted to women, but not like romantically attracted to women. So it's like, I have my list of men who I've hooked up with, which if people out there are like, you have a list of men you've hooked up with? Yes, I think everyone does. But I don't really put the woman on there. And I was just wondering, like, do you have a list? Do you put men and women on there? Like, I'm trying to figure out where everyone is coming from for different reasons.
Totally. So I am bisexual. I've known for a while.
A while.
I think I knew as a child, honestly. I do have a list of people that I've hooked up with. And I think at first it was more like a journal to kind of reminisce. And then it kind of became this thing that's important for me to document in case, you know, anything happens to me. So, because you can catch something these days and you gotta do the responsible thing and retrace your steps. So, but I have written women into my list, and I do find women romantically attractive. I've dated women in the past. I've had girlfriends. So, yes, they're on my list. Maybe they're not on your list because you don't see yourself dating someone that's a woman. So
yeah, I feel like with women not being on my list, it's more of like when I hook up with a woman, I can go back to being like besties with them, like nothing happened. And it's like when I hook up with women, I don't feel like I'm like giving a part of myself.
Yeah.
Whereas with men, I do feel like it's weird because I'll become like attached to them. I'll become like sometimes borderline. I'm like, I didn't like him before I had sex with him in the slightest, and now that I had sex with him, it's like all of a sudden I'm thinking about our future that's non-existent. And it's like that's why I'll put like my list down for them. But it's like I've never had that feeling with women, so I've never been inclined to be like, I need to remember every single woman I've ever hooked up with.
Yeah. Well, I guess with women it's just sex, so your list is not really a list for your body count. It's more like your potential partners. So
okay,
maybe that's what your list is really about, and that's cool. I mean, that's for you.
It's for my eyes to see only.
Yeah,
Oh my god! But honestly, if I did add a woman, my body count would be like really high.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sorry, body count makes no sense to me. The whole like argument about body count is just really misogynistic, in my opinion. I mean, explain to me really quick. Let's do the math.
Okay.
One girl has sex with 20 different guys. each one time.
Uh-huh.
And you're telling me that she's looser than her fucking the same guy for over 20 times.
Mm-hmm.
That don't make no sense.
It doesn't make sense.
That don't make no sense. The math ain't mathin'. It ain't mathin'. Yeah, I really think body count and the whole argument behind it is just a
and
way
maybe
to
I do
make women feel shitty.
And maybe I do keep my list for like a little bit of an internalized misogynistic reason, and I just
Maybe.
never realized it.
Maybe.
You
That's
just
okay.
you just made the math in my head.
It's okay. I feel like we all have a lot of internalized misogyny. You know, we do it all the time when we shame other women for being slutty or promiscuous.
And I don't have like any
whatever.
shame when I hook up with women, for example. Like there is not a single part of me that feels like I am being slutty. But when I hook up with men, I do kind of have that shame.
Mm-hmm.
But also part of the shame comes from, why am I in love with this fucking loser?
This asshole.
After having sex with him twice.
Maybe that's just because that's what your brain thinks, you know,
love is.
That's what's out there. And that's not.
No.
I think honestly, it's hard to tell yourself when you've only had shitty partners and you've only had really poor experiences with relationships and hookup culture, that there is something out there that actually will be good for you, and someone is out there that will reciprocate the energy that you want to put into a relationship. It's hard to convince yourself that when you keep
dating the wrong people.
But I think for me, at least in my experience, focusing on really loving myself and knowing what I deserved, knowing that my standards are valid, and I'm gonna keep doing what I have to do until I get what, you know, the person is that fits into my life, and I fit into their lives, and it's supportive and healthy. I was determined to just keep going, until I find it.
So you keep your list more for like health reasons. Have you and Colin ever actually caught something?
Yeah.
Happens.
It happens. Yeah, we it was kind of funny because this is kind of at the beginning of our relationship. We let another lady in the bedroom.
Oh my God, what a slut. I'm kidding. We say slut endearing.
She's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous too. And the experience was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Everyone was really safe, and it was kind of one of those situations where it was on a whim. And it was a great time, but unfortunately, we did catch chlamydia formers.
How was that conversation, calling her, being like, hey, we all have chlamydia?
It wasn't really a conversation. It was more like a text.
Oh.
Just because I didn't want it to be awkward.
Yeah.
And I didn't want her to think I was like
mad or anything.
Mad, yeah. So I was just like, hey, you know, we got something. Please go get checked if, you know, you would like to do that for yourself. So I don't want to be too pushy.
Well, that's always a fun time. I feel like you haven't lived if you haven't had chlamydia once.
Can I live never getting it again?
I didn't really have any symptoms. I didn't even know.
Yeah, well, my symptom was that I was withheld from my man's penis for 2 weeks. And
that is fair.
Sucked.
Wait, so why would you be withheld?
Obviously.
I'm just trying to think, because if you guys both had chlamydia and you guys were both taking the pills, why couldn't you guys fuck each other if you guys both were like...
I don't know.
Yeah,
the science.
you don't know the science.
All I
it's
know
okay.
Is that's what the doctor said, and I didn't want to keep chlamydia, so...
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, so 2 weeks, no sex, and that was a big bummer because I kind of have a really high sex drive, and I tend to get like irritable or agitated quickly if I'm literally scratching and like moving around a lot because it's been like about 2 weeks.
Yeah. I can fix that for you later, baby.
Awesome.
Is this did that sound like ASMR, or did it just sound like a really creepy I can fix this. Oh my God, wait, no. Hold on. Let me redo it. I have to get in like my sexy zone.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a sexy zone. Okay. I think I can fix that for you later, baby.
I hope it picks it up.
I think it will. So I think something is it funny? It was kind of funny figuring out what the reason was, but Instagram and you were having a little bit of a fight, a little bit of a war. What ended up happening?
That godforsaken app. Hi, Instagram, love you. Please stop shadow banning me. So yeah, I've never really had too much of an issue with Instagram, but I think recently everyone that is watching who is a sex worker can relate to this. It's just been like a war with them pretty much. I woke up one day and my main Instagram and my backup were both gone, and no explanation, no email or notification from Instagram at all. And usually they tell you why they've kicked you out of the club.
Yeah.
So I was real confused, and I had to go out of my way, and like, thank God I have friends who do work at Facebook and Instagram, so I was very lucky in this situation. I was able to ask friends and get ahead of it. Sorry, get ahead of it. I talk with my hands. Get ahead of it. But basically, long story short, after so many thousands of dollars spent in investigating, what they did was they made a fake death certificate of me.
So that means that someone would have to know your first and last name to even make the death certificate.
And my birthday.
And your birthday, yeah.
And I think that's all the information they need. But yeah, it was very strange, and I basically learned that the employees at Instagram are not paid what they should be. And the company is aware of this. They just don't care. So a lot of the employees have taken it upon themselves to create a side business out of,
deleting people, then getting their accounts back, then deleting people again.
Yes. So you can pay someone who works at Instagram or who knows someone who works at Instagram to delete your account. And a lot of the community guidelines are vague for a reason.
So that Instagram can't be held accountable.
Right. But I was pretty good at following the rules on my Instagram. So I was very confused as to why I was just kicked out.
Because you were dead, didn't you know? You weren't invited to the party.
So what they did was they made a fake death certificate. They put my profile photo on one of their various verified accounts, and then they had inquired to Instagram, to the person that they paid to make sure to get my account down, saying, this is a death certificate of our person we represent. This is their main account. These other accounts are catfishes, or, we don't want these accounts up anymore, as per the request of our client who is now dead.
Wow.
So,
craziness.
it is crazy. It's honestly really loony. Like, to go to that extent to get my shit down.
Someone has to be criminal.
Yeah. Smooth criminal. Yeah. I was getting, this happens to me a lot though. I get these scam meme accounts. They post my content on their accounts, and they try to use my face and my likeness. Don't
pay you. Don't tag you.
Don't tag me. They actually pretend that I'm some kind of spam bot account, and then they direct traffic to that account. And my followers are amazing. I love them so much. They catch these things, and then they just flood the comment section, and it happened right before my accounts went down. So like, I have a pretty good reason to think that these scam meme accounts are a good option for who is behind it. But there's so many people out there who don't like me.
I feel like same. Comes with having a very strong personality.
You can't get, you don't get to the top without making a few enemies. So
Well, speaking of, because we just said criminal, I feel like there's a subject we're both pretty passionate about, and that is Courtney Taylor. Do you have anything to say about the bitch? That sounded really aggressive. I mean, she's a bitch. Whatever. She killed someone. Me overthinking it already.
Don't get me in trouble.
Okay.
So I do know Courtney, and I did know Christian personally. I I just think what I will say is this.
Mhm.
I think it's really unfortunate the situation that his family has been dealt, because she is a person who, I mean, has a lot of privilege. She has a lot of privilege, and she has a lot of money. She's white. She's beautiful. She has a huge fan base.
Mhm.
And his family doesn't have those things, at least to her level.
Yeah.
And people are diluting his death to a couple of really dumb tweets he posted when he was like 17.
Yeah, 2012.
Yeah, and that is just ridiculous. I mean, to justify murder in any regards, to me personally, is just disgusting.
Yeah.
I don't even believe in the death penalty. So I just find it shameful that people can be like, oh yeah, well, he was really, really shitty to, about black women online. And yes, he was, but he was a child, and that does not mean he should have been killed.
And I feel like I said a lot of dumb things when I was 17.
Yeah.
And this in no way like invalidates, because I know a lot of like black women feel like he did not love, like he didn't like them as people just because of his tweets. And I don't want to invalidate their feelings about that, but I also do think, a man died, and like a woman needs to see justice.
No, totally. Yeah, I find it really sad because, there was a real opportunity for, I mean, I hope there is still an opportunity, but it seemed like when things first happened, people were real enthusiastic to get behind Christian's family to seek justice. And then someone went out of their way to point out three really ignorant tweets that he tweeted as a kid. And all of a sudden it's like, just like no one's talking about it anymore. And it just kind of feels like no one cares. And that is really sad to me because he was a human being. He was, in my opinion, he was a really nice guy. He was a really nice guy. And I definitely don't think he deserved what happened to him. And I don't know what happened to him because I wasn't there, but I just don't think him dying is a resolution in any case. I'm sorry. I just don't. No, I just can't. I've tried to think of ways where it would make sense, and it just doesn't. I mean, yeah, I just feel really sorry for his family, and I hope that they can find peace and hopefully justice. And if Courtney was responsible for his death, then she needs to see the consequences for that. Like, everyone should, just because you are a beautiful white girl with lots of followers doesn't mean that you are excused from that. So life is life. It's precious. And I don't know. It's just really sad. It's a really sad situation. So, and I feel like it also just like makes people kind of show their true colors.
For the people promoting that they did content with her, it's just kind of disgusting. Really, or for people defending her in comments being like she's like I just don't understand why a lot of OnlyFans girls, I mean, I do understand she does have a big following, she does have clout. I think she even gained some followers after she killed him. Probably lost a lot too, but I think she gained some because people are like, oh my god, crazy curls are hot, which is so weird. But the fact that OnlyFans girls would even like defend someone when, I mean, they don't know what happened, but also she did have a track record.
Yeah, I mean, look, like there's a lot of clout chasers in the social media influencer world, and they don't want to admit it, but they are. You're clout chasing. And I think to use the situation to monetize and drive traffic to your OnlyFans is one, disgusting. Just
I literally
I
have
don't
like
know how.
deleted all
You
the
could-
content with her.
I did too. And then to also talk about it as much as to say, like, you know, you think theorizing that he was a thief and all these ridiculous things, instead of just bringing awareness to the situation and telling people that they should help his family out. And if they do want to side with Courtney, because it's very much like this, you know, Courtney or Christian kind of thing, then just send her a text, tell her you love her, and tell her she shouldn't be going to bars 2 days after getting out. So
Yeah. And also for people being like, he was like stealing from her, he was doing whatever. Does that justify killing someone?
no, again, it doesn't.
No.
It just does not. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. People showing their support in very specific ways, it does make it seem like kind of clout chasey and just, I don't know. I really think people need to learn when to just shut up.
Something I struggle with, but I am learning.
It's okay. We'll figure it out together.
We'll figure it out together. For me, it's just oversharing trauma. Like, I trauma bonded with someone in the elevator the other day who didn't even ask. And then I just started talking about my mold poisoning.
Sorry. I can fucking see it.
You know, it was maybe a minute elevator ride. And in that minute, I found a way to talk about my mold poisoning and how I'm starting to do better and I'm almost done with my meds. I don't even think I let her get a sentence out. And I'm like, oh, this is your floor? Have a good day. And this is where, you know, shutting up would be a good skill.
No, I mean, it's okay to talk to people. I just think like talking just to talk is just not very beneficial.
Talking when you're uneducated on a situation, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but
Mhm.
I also think a lot of people just like to talk because they like the sound of their own voice. Like, you know, it's like when little kids are like, "Hi, hey, look what I can do. Look over here. Look over here. Look what I can do." It's
That
like some
right
of that
there,
didn't leave some people.
my
Still do
ovaries
that.
dried up. And
Oh, God.
that right there makes me, you know, that's it. I want my tubes tied.
That's funny.
All right. Well, where can everyone find you, just to close this up?
Okay, so I guess the best way to find me would be Instagram. It's ACPent. It's ACPENT. And my other ats and handles are usually that. If not, it's ACPent with an X. So
It's really funny because, like, our one friend, the one I was talking about Allie's boobs with, was saying, like, oh my God, Allie and her last name, like, her boobs are just, like, so perfect. And I was like, I don't know an Allie. And she was like, no, you know an Allie. Like, Allie, her last name. And I'm like, I don't think I know one. She's like, AC Pent. And I'm like, why didn't you say that?
people come up to me in the streets and they say, "Hey, AC, AC." And I'm like, yeah, I guess it is kind of hot in here. Yeah, but they're like, AC. And I'm just like, oh, right, duh.
It's me. You can find me, just all my links at itsdeelz.com. It's Deelz. Cool. Peace out. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Are you ready? Okay, we're gonna have fun.